container. It is in the general chat. The guy had a tank. He put it a different temperature toward the bottom of the tank. I think he froze it or something like that, and he was reading a different pressure in the top and bottom of the tank.
Cool.
So there was pressure.
Yeah, but I bet Sean won't admit that she was wrong.
So I'm actually really glad you brought that up. So what was the difference in the pressure and what was the correlation between pressure?
It doesn't matter, Hellfire.
It doesn't matter.
We're talking about you creating that pressure in the first place.
I looked at it, but there was a pressure gradient noted.
Yeah, so he applied a significant amount of heat and got a differential of temperature, which of course is going to change density and it's going to change pressure.
So there you've got a different explanation.
Container, just like with the firmament and the earth.
Now.
Now you tell us how you got your pressure. You demonstrate creating pressure inside a vacuum using gravity.
The fucking conversation. Do you mind if I continue along this logic? Do you mind?
You are just going around in circles.
So when you go up in altitude, does it get colder or hotter?
Oh, fuck me.
It's a simple question. Does it get colder or hotter?
It actually gets hotter.
It gets hotter.
Really? Yeah, it goes high enough. Yes, they say the ISS is in a place that's 2,000 degrees hot.
Yes.
So it does get fucking hotter.
Great. So when you go from sea level to the top of Mount fucking Everest, is it colder or is it hotter?
On the top of Everest, it's colder. Then keep going up, and they say it gets hotter again.
Yeah, you got to go way up.
All different temperatures causing all different things to happen.
For fuck's sake. Paige, all right? So you got carbon dioxide, you got oxygen, you got nitrogen. They make up the first 100,000 feet in an equal fucking distribution. Above that, now you get those layers of gases that are. So I'm just talking about up to 100,000 feet because that's homogeneous. All right. The difference, however,
can I suggest something to you?
Hold on. The difference, however, is on the top of Everest, the air is fucking thinner. All right, and cold air is supposed to be more dense. So now you have an inversion.
Can I suggest something to you? Go and watch Pete and Peter, their demonstration with this oxygen. You know those machines when people are sick and they can't breathe enough oxygen and they... Yeah, you know how they've got a little, like a thing on the back that shoots out all the parts of the air that aren't oxygen. It separates the air so that the person who's sick is only getting oxygen and the rest of it is pushed out the back of the machine. Well, they tested what was coming out the back of the machine and it wasn't any different. It was the same stuff.
Yeah. That's good.
Whatever they're telling... No, because they're saying they can separate it. So what I'm saying is air isn't even what they're saying it is.
Oh my goodness. Are we really saying air is not air?
Well, it's challenging the atomic theory of many different substances, including water, and saying that it's implying anyway that it might be some sort of elemental substance that doesn't break down into hydrogen and oxygen, and that you're getting hydrogen and oxygen from the electrodes by mistake and mistakenly attributing them.
Scientific study citation, please.
Pete and Peter,
I'll put their videos in the chat. You're going to have to go to their channel for the video.
You will have to do some research for yourself, Hellfire. And you too, Sean. You can't just everything and not look.
You say that about you guys. No.
That's all you've done since you got here, Sean, is
Back to what I was saying, though, because
obviously we offer explanations.
You don't, and I'm asking you, you offer explanations, but you get mad about responses and questions to those explanations.
Who is swearing their head off? Who is swearing their head off and not able to show a vacuum? I want to see this container on the ground using Earth's gravity, inject some air into it, and show me it creating a sphere of air around a ball or something inside it.
I want to see you pressurize a container with a gradient in it. I can ask you the same stupid. I can ask for the same stupid example.
It's been demonstrated. Fuck's sake.
And you know what they did? They applied heat to one end. Of course, that's going to change temperature on one side of it.
And it's done. Yes. You haven't done anything.
Paige, what you're not listening to is the fact that when they applied heat, that pressure doesn't match what happens in our atmosphere. So pressure gets less as you go up in altitude when it's colder air.
To create that pressure, let alone create it and then cause a gradient and then explain how it's happened.
Okay, well, we have a thing called the sun that can apply heat too, so the mechanism's already there. There's no problem here. We have a thing called the sun that's applying heat anyway. So we don't even have a problem here.
Paige, do you know how a turbocharger works in a car?
Oh, fuck me.
It's a yes or no question.
Hellfire.
Now the atmosphere is like a turbocharger.
Yes, it's like nitro. You can press the button and...
no. Okay, so a turbocharger...
What do you want, Shiki?
If I want 14 psi out of a turbocharger, that's 14 psi on top of atmospheric temperature. So the car meters it, default air, 0. Pressurized, I want 16 psi, cool. As you go up in altitude where there's less air, like less fucking density, all right, that turbocharger will still spool up, and it has a negligible effect on the power because it still pressurizes that intake manifold to that same psi that it can accomplish on the ground, provided it has enough fucking free spin to produce that much pressure. So my car, when I get on top of Pikes Peak in Colorado, showed no performance difference, where the average naturally aspirated car, because there's less air, all right, loses about 35 to 38% pressure going up that fucking mountain. That right there is a daily demonstration of the pressure change,
of a pressure gradient
of air.
We're not arguing. We are not arguing about.
Well, you are. Your example of a fucking contained bottle.
A pressure gradient.
When you apply heat to that bottle, it's not doing the same inversion that you get when you go up in altitude here in the atmosphere. That's the thing. All right, that's what I'm trying to convey to you. Is if you go up and the air is thinner, it should be hotter. Plain and simple.
It does get hotter. The closer you get to the sun, the hotter it gets.
Not in the first 100,000 feet where the composition of air is the same. You have to get into different
air should be hotter when the source of heat, the sun, its rays would spread out like a V and be toward the ground.
Ignoring
so even what you're saying doesn't even have a basis. Rays of the sun spread out like a V from the point source and get wider and consequentially more hotter toward the surface.
You haven't even offered an actual solution that we can talk about to what creates that
Neither
pressure.
have you to creating. You've
I did. No gravity. Like, just because we deny gravity, like we demonstrate gravity on the regular. We demonstrate it when we do buoyancy equations.
You've never demonstrated.
You have not demonstrated anything.
You've never demonstrated gravity ever.
All you can do is show us pressurized air inside containers.
No, I can show you the performance changes in engine. It shows you that.
Yeah. So all you can talk about is the gradient. You can't talk about how you got that. Who gives a fuck? It's not the argument.
It is the argument.
No,
it absolutely is the argument.
How the fuck did you get the pressure in the first place?
Okay, so if you have a fucking pressure in a container that is contained, then it would be a uniform pressure, not a fucking gradient. That's the fucking hole in your argument.
Not the argument.
That's not true. That's not necessarily true.
It's not necessarily true until you apply a fucking blowtorch to the bottom of a fucking propane
gravity. Demonstrate you can create a sphere of air that's pressurized inside a vacuum that's equal to space here on the ground using gravity.
So
I can demonstrate a pressurized gas in a container.
Do you not understand how
can't demonstrate anything.
All right. So you want me to take a container.
Oh my God.
No, don't, oh my God. This is how stupid.
You even need a container to create a vacuum, don't you?
So you want me to get a container, suck all the air out, squeeze some air in, and somehow you want that connection.
Get gravity.
No, shut up. So somehow
that's exactly what I want, Hellfire. Absolutely.
You want a ball to form in that vacuum.
That's what you're saying happened.
That's what you're claiming.
A ball of air around our Earth, a sphere, a shell around the Earth of air.
No.
It's not an atmosphere. So you're not saying we have an atmosphere now.
Of air. It's not a ball of air at all.
It's a shell around the ball.
Yes, because there's a force.
Wait, are you arguing that air is
air? In a vacuum on the ground and show us it is possible.
All right. So now let me ask you to make the same dumbass demonstration of a pressurized container with a gradient. That's how stupid
We
you
have
just did
shown
with the
you.
propane
No,
tank.
We
you
have
showed me a container
shown
where you applied a
you.
fucking blowtorch. A
Oh my
fucking
God. So it
blowtorch.
caused a pressure gradient, didn't it?
Where's the blow? Where are your
Did
eyes
it cause
melting out
a
of your
pressure
fucking
gradient or
head?
not?
Where's the
Hellfire.
fucking blowtorch in the atmosphere?
The sun.
The sun.
Oh.
So the air closer to the sun on
Oh
top
my
of
God.
Everest again should be hotter than
Prove
the air on the
your
ground.
claim
No, it's a hot
about
water freezes
You're
colder
making a
pressure
than
being
stupid claim that
getting
can't be
cold
created.
water.
demonstrated.
So the higher
You're
you
asking for an
get,
impossible
you get
demonstration.
closer to the sun,
did.
so it's
Yeah,
literally going to cause
impossible.
freezing
Exactly.
until
It's
you get to
fucking
a certain
impossible.
point.
Calm down.
It's
Damn. You don't even
impossible,
know
isn't
basic
it,
physics,
Hellfire?
Hellfire.
Thank you very much. It's fucking impossible.
And
Wake
it's
up,
impossible.
you stupid fucking idiots. My God.
All right. So now I'm the rude one. You're calling me an idiot while you're being a cunt. All right. So
Yeah,
show me a
after
fucking
listening
tire.
to you
Show
for
me
an
a fucking
hour,
tire.
swearing your
Show
head
me
off
a
and
fucking
going around
tire
in
that you can
circles
pressurize
and being
to
a
get a gradient in
complete
it.
disingenuous twat, yes, I've lost my temper.
You are the
Absolutely.
absolute fucking disingenuous twat because you won't even acknowledge that you can't
just
get a
admitted
gradient
it's
in a fucking
impossible.
container. You can't get
I
a
just
fucking
said, we
gradient in a
showed
container.
you.
Showed you that it's
Oh my
possible.
God.
Oh
We
my
just
God.
showed you that it's
All right, so
very
He just
possible.
said it's impossible
Here's
to
your
get
demonstration. You took a fucking bottle, applied a blowtorch to the bottom of it.
all
Here's the
you wanted
here's the
was a
And it
gradient.
did
gradient.
exactly what they're
Except
claiming
We
you
you
showed
to
pointed
you
out,
a
Paige,
gradient.
Paige pointed out a demonstration of a heavier gas in a fucking bowl separating higher and lower pressure. You did
At least
that.
we demonstrated something. You haven't
Well,
demonstrated anything. You tell me it's impossible
No, I'm
to
telling
demonstrate
you-
what you
I'm
claim.
telling you that it's not a separation of gas. That's demonstrable. You're saying
And
that
you
the pressure
told me
gradient is
it's
created because of the
impossible to
separation of gas.
create a. You told me it's impossible to get a shell of air to form around a ball inside a vacuum. You just said that was impossible. Thank you very much. Yes, it is.
Paige, do you understand how to calculate gravity? Do you think a small mass of air that I can fit in my hand is going to overcome
Doesn't
the
matter
force
how to
of a
calculate
Because
gravity.
you've got
Gravity
the
isn't
earth
real.
underneath you, just like the air that's
so
all
how
around
the
us. You have the
fuck-
whole
how the
earth underneath
fuck
you.
Do you expect a gas of air in a fucking container to form a ball overcoming that force of gravity?
I
How the
don't
fuck do you
expect it to, Hellfire, but
That's how
you do.
dumb as fuck your presentation.
You are the one that claims
saying-
that's happening.
I'm not saying that a fucking little area of fucking air can overcome gravity, pulling it down and forming its own ball.
Yes, Earth is hanging in a vacuum, and you say all the air got attracted to the ball and formed a shell around the ball, calling it an atmosphere.
That's how the gravity works.
But then
yes.
you tell me it's impossible to demonstrate that. Yeah, it is fucking impossible. Because it ain't
It's
happening.
demonstrated by reality. To demonstrate it, you need something that creates
Reality
more
is
gravity.
pressure
than the
always
fucking
needs a container. That's
So-
reality, Hellfire.
So
So you're saying that the
Here's
proof of
reality.
gravity
If you
is
take
that
a
we don't
fucking
have proof
lead
of
ball,
gravity because
right?
you're
You
saying
take
we
a
need to
lead
have a
ball-
planet before you can demonstrate gravity. That's special pleading, I think that's called.
He's got a planet underneath him. The gravity that pulled whatever air is around Earth, it's the same gravity if he just puts a container on the ground with a vacuum in it. It's the same amount of gravity that's supposed to be holding the air that's all around that container.
Your dumbass is expecting the air in a container to form a ball of its own.
It
That's
did
idiotic.
on Earth. Put a tennis ball in there. Get it to form around the tennis ball.
The tennis
Whatever you
ball
want.
doesn't have nearly as much gravity as the whole mass of the Earth. Do you understand why that's so stupid?
That's your
to say
problem,
that a
not
tiny
hers.
object
Okay.
is
Have a special
Exactly.
pleading
Okay.
theory
Same amount of
like this. We
Even-
can just go with
even
another
get-
theory.
Hellfire,
You're saying
even
that
get a
the
layer
evidence
of
of gravity.
pressurized air at the bottom where the gravity
You're
is the
saying that
strongest.
the evidence of gravity is that we can't prove it. The evidence of gravity is that we can't prove it. If you can special plead like that, let's go with the ether or something.
Go with the ethers. Like, no, you can absolutely fucking
Show
prove it.
me a millimeter of pressurized air in the bottom of that container that's sitting on the ground being held down inside the vacuum by your magic fucking gravity.
Oh my fucking god! Do you understand like how a column of
That's
air
what he's saying the Earth
more
is
and more
doing.
pressure because it's stacking. Like that's why we get the pressure.
Demonstrate
the same thing in a
that.
pool. Oh, I can in a fucking pool. All right, pool. Same
oh my
thing
God,
as air.
using air. Water is bonded.
Oh my God.
Air
You
is
asked a fucking
unbonded.
question. Let me answer it. You fucking twat. Stop asking a question. And
You
then
are
ramble.
not being analogous. You are using something that is completely different.
So how do we get a pressure gradient in a pool of water?
Who gives a fuck? It's water. We're talking about air.
Okay.
Which gravity are you talking about, a-hole?
Okay. So
which gravity are you talking about, a-hole?
Show me gravity holding air down, creating air pressure inside a vacuum chamber
for the
any way you like. Any form of air pressure at all. Just show me something. Anything.
For the same fucking reason you have a pressure gradient in the atmosphere, you get a pressure gradient in the pool and the ocean. So if it's a homogeneous material, water, why is there a pressure
gradient?
You're
not listening, are you?
Water? You're not fucking listening.
It's water. That's why
water.
It's bonded.
Okay. So why does it have a gradient?
Who gives a fuck? We're talking about the air. It's a completely different substance.
That's weird because if you actually pressurize a fluid system...
That's like saying, why isn't it a unicorn just the same as
if you actually pressurize a fluid system, if you apply pressure to a fluid system, it becomes homogeneous. The gradient goes away.
Why the fuck are you talking about water?
Because it's an easy demonstration of gradient that you have a really hard time wrapping your head around.
It's not analogous.
How's it not analogous? It's a homogeneous material.
Because it's water
and
it's bonded.
Fluid? Is air not a fluid?
Oh my God. It's unbonded. It might act. It might act.
Not a fluid?
Fluid-like. Fluid-like. It acts.
So is it fluid-like or is it a fluid?
Oh, fuck me.
It's not fluid-like.
It is unbonded. Water is bonded.
Water is
two totally different things.
So how come if water is so strongly bonded, you can scoop
Oh, fuck me. Why are you talking about water?
Because I'm talking about gradients. And the fact that you can't explain...
I'm talking about you creating pressure. The argument is, how have you created pressure on the Earth? We are not arguing about anything else.
The exact same way that you create pressure deeper in a fucking pool. The exact same way. There's literally no fucking difference.
Demonstrate it.
Jump in a pool.
Demonstrate a vacuum on the... No, with air. The same as Earth. Demonstrate a vacuum having some kind of air pressure forming in it and not just expanding into the vacuum when you inject it.
So yet
Show
again,
me it sticking together. Show me the air sticking together.
Yet again.
And causing a bit of air pressure in one part of the vacuum and not in the rest.
Yet again, you say you acknowledge as a gradient, but you don't acknowledge why. So how come...
Oh, fuck me. I'm saying that's not the argument.
Sea level pressure can exist against Mount Everest pressure. Why don't they mix?
Because we're in a dynamic system.
Oh my God, the dynamic
air keeps getting produced all the time. Demonstrate that you can create that pressure.
Page. You keep saying dynamic system, but you're talking out of your asshole because you're not explaining the dynamic system.
Idea how far
did anybody else hear me saying what causes the gradient before?
What?
But there's lots of things, you know, high and low pressure, the sun, all these things, us breathing,
all these things,
everything. There are heaps of things.
How does the sun do it?
That you have is that you're acting like it is a homogeneous system. It's not. It has a bunch of different things that interact differently and will layer. Sound and frequency organizes things into shapes, layers. You know, sound and frequency can do that with an electromagnetic, say, etheric medium.
Well, here comes
we may not even need to appeal to gravity.
So, have you measured this sound? Have you measured this electromagnetism?
5.7 hertz. The Earth's resting resonance frequency is 5.7 hertz.
I'm not God, dude. I don't know.
Well, then why are you fucking
But it does.
Oh, maybe it does. It just does. Okay, so no proof how it does it. No proof to measure it. No
Hellfire, I'm not interested in how gradient forms.
The center of gravity.
I am only interested in how that pressure is created in the first place.
My God.
And I know you need a container.
If you can't
you
provide
need a container.
Again,
if you won't replace this broken toy, then yours doesn't count.
To disprove your model.
Who says that? Who says there needs to be a container?
Pretty much all of them. That's like
because you need a container to stop the instant progression. You know why? Because gas.
Sean, are you saying pressure isn't the air molecules bouncing on the side of its container? That isn't what causes pressure in your world?
I just asked the question. I asked, who says a container has to be had?
Every physics teacher who's ever lived,
forever. That's why.
Including conspiracy cats. Without the pressure, there can be no container. Without the container, there can be no pressure.
Actually, conspiracy cats points to nuclear fusion
well, hey,
reactor.
If you're willing to just throw out
fucking
all of
gas,
physics,
the
like,
high pressure gas,
I'm okay with that.
Sean's a science denier.
Idea.
She denies her own science.
Okay.
There goes your example.
Yeah, let's throw out all of the known physics. Absolutely.
No, it's nowhere in physics. I don't see that anywhere.
Oh, well, I guess you're not looking.
It doesn't exist.
It
does.
Try opening your eyes.
The thing is, you can't get air in your tire without a tire to cover the air and contain it.
Exactly.
Right there. You can't have air in your lungs to contain the air and keep it from going nowhere. So you already see it. You just need to look.
I said I'm not talking about with like tires and things. I'm talking about with the earth.
But that's air pressure, Sean. It's the same thing. Of course they're not going to say the earth needs a container because they want you thinking you live on a fucking ball.
You made this law up. You made it up.
Oh my God, you are dumb, aren't you? Fuck me. You don't even know about thermodynamics or entropy or pressure.
The irony
Holy shit.
Calling someone dumb when you don't even understand what you're saying.
You know where it says that? It says it in
Entropy. Okay, the thing is, we already have entropy, which says stuff spreads and spreads and spreads, implying that the gas would spread and spread and spread until it hits a barrier or a container.
But
yep, it would keep going until it has something to stop it. The PSI, Sean, per square inch. Inch of what?
Are you not listening to what I said? I said,
what
as Earth goes, where does it say that this has to happen?
Logic.
They don't say it because they want you thinking you live on a fucking ball. You need to use your own
have a philosophy.
mind
Hold on.
Think critically.
We have a philosophy of how this Newtonian laws and stuff work. We say that basically there are atoms. They bump into each other and exchange force upon collision. That is the philosophy that they go with. So they say that these gas particles would bump into each other with so much force, they just knock it out like a pool cue. And so under that conception, entropy would just increase. Disorder would just increase, and it would just spread like billiard balls going all over the place. So entropy would only increase and keep increasing until either the energy is lost and or it hits a container.
And yet, we still have a consistent fucking gradient that you have still not explained besides saying God made the sun and the sun.
No, we said sound and frequency and electromagnetism, which is organizing matter.
Everything you said for the last hour.
Please. Citation, please. Because
there are no citations for what we're talking about, you
because you're talking out of your stupid ass.
No, because they want you thinking you live on a fucking ball.
Because you're literally
not going to
down, people. Let's calm down.
It's as simple as entropy.
Calm down.
That sounds fucking stupid to everyone else.
Whose video is this?
But the thing is, you have sound and frequency like on a cymatic plate. You put salt on the plate. You put out a sound frequency. It takes any shape you need. There's your organization of the column into up, down, middle, whatever, right there. You can even get levitation with sound and electromagnetic frequency. Let's get rid of gravity and subsume it under electromagnetism or something.
Okay, again, all these gradients in temperature and winds, yet compasses don't get affected. So no, it's very obviously not electromagnetism. Otherwise, none of your
depends on the coherency of the field. You're just thinking that it's a big Earth, so it needs to be a big magnet. You need to talk about the field coherency and how the field is organized and how it is spread out.
Cool. So
if the field isn't coherent
all the way down
the
to
charge
ground
isn't
level,
all in one place,
the way down to ground level. So explain that.
Location, then you're going to have a different quality field, dude. Talk about field coherency.
Yeah, except like at any fucking altitude, in any fucking location, my fucking compass on my goddamn aircraft works just fine and doesn't flail about with the elements.
Your vertical and my vertical will be exactly the same too. Funny about that.
Prove that.
You have to be kidding. Draw 2 vertical lines on a piece of fucking paper, you moron.
Hey, you dumb fucking cunt. How about we fucking get high noon and get a measurement from where you're at the angle of the sun, and I'll do the same
vertical
thing.
Yeah, how about we measure from a thing
I'm talking about looking at something
where it actually is.
How do you measure vertical lines? From down to up? Do you not know what vertical means?
You can't verify it. How about we do that? That way we can be in no way accurate whatsoever.
Unless you assume you're on a ball.
Because we'll look at something different in the fucking sky.
Oh my God,
really
Hellfire.
Pretty fucking
Your vertical and my vertical are both the same.
Are they pointing in the same fucking sky?
Yes, dude. My sky
really?
and your sky are the same.
Then how come when you look south, you see the Southern Cross? No, okay. So now perspective. All right. Perspective just happens to line up with 90 degrees. Was it wood on a sphere on a mount?
Yeah, that's because they hijack perspective. As you know, by perspective, two parallel lines that should never meet.
Perspective and tell you that the ground is doing that when it's actually happening inside your eye.
I'm not talking about that.
Learn how your
I'm
eye
talking
works.
about the mount.
It's the same math.
Do you know how your eye works?
Yes.
What discerns color and what discerns light in your eyeball?
Oh my God. Are you going to divert again from what we're talking about?
I'm just calling you on your bullshit page because you're full of fucking bullshit. You say you know shit, but you obviously don't have any understanding of how the fucking eyeball works. You can't even tell me the most base thing.
We're not talking
about what discerns light and what discerns color.
Nobody here understands how the eye works.
That has nothing to do with anything.
Oh, she brought it up. So yeah, it has to do with something. It's the fact that she talks out of your ass, you talk out of your fucking asshole. You don't know what you're talking about on literally anything. And all you do is show how fucking ignorant you are. You're literally one of the dumbest fucking people in this whole fucking discussion that I have met in the fucking year and a half that I've dabbled in fucking flat earth talk. You are literally the dumbest person, and I've met some really dumb fucking people.
Well, the thing is, the Earth is flat and motionless, and there's other possibilities we need.
You can't prove it. You talk out of your ass about all these
proved it over and over.
You don't need to prove
you said maybe this, could be that, possibly this, but actually have not shown any empirical, substantiated evidence to provide for that fucking bullshit. Could be probably maybe.
How's this, Hellfire? How's this? Aaron Armstrong says water is level and level is horizontal.
What Aaron Armstrong said.
Do you agree? Do you agree?
I agree it's fucking level, but your dumbass doesn't understand what level fucking means.
Do you agree?
I just said I agree that water is level, but your dumbass doesn't know what level means.
Level is horizontal.
No, it's not. It's perpendicular to the force.
At least I know now Aaron's smarter than you.
It's not.
Oh, you're not smarter than much at all.
All right.
You are literally the dumbest motherfucker. Look, I have literally met people that believe, and these are some racist dudes that are black Hebrew Israelites. I've literally met people that believe that black people are the superior race, and white people are messing with genes, and they're dumb as fuck. But you're still dumber than they are.
Hey, Hellfire.
Sure, dude.
Sure. Why don't you just worry about attacking the argument and not attack the people?
Well, it would be nice if she would actually present an argument where she wasn't talking out of her ass. It does matter. If she's presenting something and it's obviously bullshit, I'm going to dismiss it.
Hey, dipshit, you can dismiss it, but you don't have to call her a stupid cunt, okay?
After all the fucking names she's called me? Do you see the hypocrisy? Do you see the absolute hypocrisy?
I never heard her calling you names.
Then you weren't fucking listening.
Really?
Yeah, after he called me names for about an hour, I got frustrated.
I didn't fucking call you any names, Paige. I didn't call you any fucking names.
Oh my
So
god!
why don't you just stop it and move on without the name calling? Can you do that?
I can do that just fine.
Okay, then do it. You're responsible for your actions, right?
No, in this world, everything outside of the person is responsible for what the person does. They're all being taught to be snowflakes.
All the shit you want to talk, but nobody's supposed to say it back to you.
Well, the thing is, in the prior...
That's very biased.
Don't fucking bother call me out. Don't call me out if you're not going to call her out. So mind your fucking business if you're worried about name calling. She's doing the same thing. If it's mutual, it's mutual.
All I've heard for the last 10 minutes is you calling her a dumb cunt and stuff. I don't think there's any need of that.
No,
I
there's
never
not.
heard to call you. Well, then that's all.
Then you weren't here for it.
I'm glad you agree. There's no need for it.
I treat people the same way they fucking treat me. And if she's going to treat me like shit, you
got angry and was swearing at me long before I ever said anything.
I wasn't.
I wasn't swearing.
No,
yes, you were, Hellfire. Oh my god.
I was telling the other people to let you fucking talk, Paige. I was telling them to shut up so you can talk in the conversation that you and I were having. So don't give me that shit, Paige. I didn't direct anything at you.
Well, just move on.
I just try to tell them to let you talk.
Just all I'm saying, we don't have to have an hour discussion about it. Just saying everybody can move on without name calling and shit.
Sure. So again, Paige, if you're completely denying geometry and where we look at things in the sky,
you're denying geometry.
Really? How so?
Yeah, you're denying that verticals are parallel.
All right, so I demonstrated how an equatorial mount... Hold on, Paige. I demonstrated how an equatorial mount works. I demonstrated how a triangle path on a fucking navigation map works, and it doesn't add up to 180. I demonstrated, or at least tried to demonstrate, why pressure gradient.
You showed us a picture to the shape of the Earth. Two vertical lines will always be parallel to each other.
You not being able to show me how an equatorial mount would work on a flat Earth doesn't matter.
God.
Like that's my proposition. Show me how I can apply this equatorial mount.
Show me
so
how
that I can actually use it on a flat plane.
Again, you're changing each other.
You're changing the topic. You're deflecting.
This was the original topic.
No,
verticals.
No, the original topic that you asked me to get into chat for was the gradient, and now you don't want to talk about gradient because suddenly, magically, gradient doesn't fucking matter when you get shown that what you said was dumb.
You need to prove you can create that pressure in the first place.
Why the fuck, if gradient doesn't matter to you, why the fuck, if on the question of gradient, that's what you want me to come in the chat for? You're wasting my fucking time.
I didn't.
No, that's literally. You want me to copy paste it? You want me to fucking take a screenshot and show where I said
what you wanted to talk about? I'm trying to get you to understand that when you ask to talk about those things, it's pointless because it's not the basis of the argument. You're arguing about things that don't matter. You assume you're on a ball to tilt those verticals. You can't do anything without begging the question.
He's only here to argue, Paige.
Let's just compare notes. I mean, the thing is, he's saying that this force gravity is pulling down, despite the fact that we have phenomena like flow and different, things that kind of go against gravity. Like if you have a bunch of, sticks pulled down into the ground and pointing downward, they don't flow over each other. So how would you have, flow or any sort of movement at all with this gravity force, assuming it's a thing? At best, gravity is a general philosophy that says, in general, we have a general downward direction. But maybe we need to look into electromagnetism.
Yeah, that sounds a bit better.
Words.
Does fucking friction, like sticks flowing over each other, is friction not a fucking thing to you now?
So the sticks illustrate how something would be pulled down by gravity and not go anywhere, and there would be no flow. You would not have lateral flow with a downward gravity if gravity was a force of any consequence. It would just hold us pressed to the earth fast, and we wouldn't go anywhere. It's too weak. It's too inconsequential. Let's look at electromagnetism.
That's why I'm trying to get you to understand you can't create that pressure at the bottom of a vacuum using gravity.
easily debunked by a fucking
Hellfire, you
$3
need to
compass.
concentrate on proving
And we are
your
back to
claim that
square
you
one
people
again
have already
because
made.
you're ignoring field coherency. In electromagnetics, you need to have a field that is concentrated and strong enough to even make that claim. If it's spread out,
like the difference between a light bulb and a laser. Field coherency. If you get a whole heap of little round magnets and put them all together, the flux lines coming out will be tiny. It's all incoherent, but you get a magnet that's got all the coherence and it's got a massive big field lines coming out of it, nice and strong.
Yes, and so the Earth would be just this mess, this spread out magnet, a general magnetism. Its force is spread out. It's incoherent.
But again, you still haven't demonstrated or been able to show anyone that's demonstrated air pressure being contained in any way whatsoever inside a vacuum by gravity, which is what you're saying the Earth is doing.
Where in science does it say this? You still haven't answered that question.
Where in science does it say
what? The Earth is that it's got an
atmosphere that's what I'm asking. I'm asking you to just clarify.
A force is acting on molecules. Hooray. The force is greater than the atoms bouncing each other and fucking pushing away from that force.
Demonstrate it. Show us anybody demonstrating
it. We demonstrate that gravity exists every time we weigh something.
No,
we demonstrate that gravity exists.
Nope, that's not a demonstration of gravity.
That it can hold.
Nope.
That you can hold air pressure.
That would be
inside
a demonstration of an effect that you claim comes from gravity, but that would not be a demonstration of gravity itself.
So the weight of air, all right, being pulled by gravity, that's what weight is mass times gravity, is greater than atoms pushing away from each other because they're bouncing. Like, what is so fucking incredibly hard to understand about that?
Well, it's not incredibly hard to understand.
Then why is it so hard? Why did you say it's impossible to show me air pressure, like in the bottom of...
Because I need
It's doing it on the Earth.
Because I need to get gravity. I need to manipulate gravity. How do you manipulate gravity, Paige? Do you know how dumb it sounds
stick it on the ground. The whole Earth is under you.
So it's down.
Just
there you
create
go.
a millimeter at the bottom of the container with the vacuum above it, just like Earth is.
How accurate is an altimeter?
Why are you changing subject again?
I'm not changing the subject.
You are.
I am not. Like, you can accuse me of that all you want,
but
I bring it up for a fucking reason. We're talking about air pressure, all right? An altimeter measures air fucking pressure to tell you the altitude, okay? And if it can only do it in 1 foot
increment, to the gradient.
Oh my God! Will you shut up and let me finish? You asked a question. Let me fucking finish.
It's so convenient that you can't manipulate gravity, isn't it? It's very
isn't it?
So if you have an altimeter that can only really measure in 1 foot increments because the change in pressure is that slight, how the fuck do you expect you're going to get a fucking measurable gradient in a fucking container that you can hold in your hands?
Who's asking you to make a gradient?
You're asking us to demonstrate a gradient in a container,
No,
right?
I'm not. No, I'm not.
Then what the fuck are you asking? Are you still asking for a magic fucking orb? Are you asking for a ball of air again?
The same magical orb you claim is our world? Yes, I think that's what she's asking for.
Exactly. I'm even asking just for like a centimeter of air pressure along the bottom of the container that's touching the ground.
Demonstrate the magical orb that you claim we live on. Demonstrate it somewhere.
Yeah, it's holding that air down.
Do we suddenly lose air pressure at ground level? Like, I don't understand what you're even trying to imagine here.
The Earth is supposed to be hanging inside a vacuum, and the Earth is pulling the air towards the ground. So put a container on the ground that's equivalent to space, put air in it, and show me the ground pulling that air down.
Oh my God. Show me.
Yeah, impossible, isn't it?
It's the same as asking for a gradient in a fucking tire. All right, which is pressurized. So your complaint is, where's the pressure come from? But when you actually apply pressure to a tire, you can't simulate the gradient. So you're asking me to simulate something.
Fuck about the gradient?
Oh my God, because it's just as fucking stupid for me to ask you to create a fucking gradient in a fucking tire.
Yeah, it is a stupid
as it
request,
is for
isn't it?
Asking, yes,
it is
as it is.
Hellfire, absolutely.
In the same way, it's dumb as fuck.
To ask to be shown air pressure being pulled down by gravity. Yes,
so why
it
the
is fucking
fuck?
stupid.
So why would you ask
something
stupid?
So dumb.
You're
That's
claiming we live on a ball that is pulling that air down
oh my
inside a vacuum.
So can you demonstrate again? Let me ask you something stupid that you cannot do.
You're making the claim.
But you're making the claim that a fucking gradient can exist in a pressurized container.
I'm not making any claim. You have.
Jesus fucking Christ.
You are claiming we live on a ball in the middle of a vacuum that is sucking the air down to itself.
It's not sucking.
Called gravity.
It's pulling.
Big difference, huh?
Oh, it is a very big difference, actually. Like, if you actually want to be technical, it's an enormous difference.
Demonstrate it, then.
We do. We see it with the pressure gradient that exists.
Fundamentalists.
Okay, you're calling me religious, but you still haven't demonstrated shit.
Oath.
So here you are calling names again. Are you keeping track of this, Kitty? Are you keeping track of this, Kitty? She's calling me an oath. She's calling me stupid, but I can't call her a cunt when she's being a fucking twat, right?
There's a big difference between dumb, stupid, and cunt.
Name calling, either way. It's disrespect. You disrespect me, I'll disrespect you.
You
I
are
don't give a shit.
demonstrating you
I
are
don't give a
stupid.
shit.
You are demonstrating you are stupid.
No, you are literally the fucking pinnacle of stupid right now because you don't understand. You can't even conceptualize why a pool having a gradient is similar to another fluid, the atmosphere, having a fucking gradient. You can't even wrap your head around that, and you're calling me stupid.
Oh my God.
Yeah, there you go. You're
air
confused
and
again.
Water are the
You're
same?
confused again. They're both
you think
fluids.
Unbonded
They're both
air
fluids.
And
air is not fluid
are the
like
same.
Paige.
You
air
wouldn't
is
have
fluid.
even passed high school with that.
Prove it.
I don't think you even went to
Shut
high
the
school.
fuck up, Sean. You have not added a thing.
You haven't said anything that makes sense at all. Like,
and it makes sense that Earth is hanging in a vacuum,
you seem to have
pulling air pressure down towards itself. That makes sense to you, does it, Sean?
Hanging, again, indicates something's pulling on the Earth.
Floating, okay? The Earth is just out in this vacuum.
So words have meanings.
Air
Weird.
pressure.
It's almost like you should have a more developed vocabulary so you can express what the fuck you're trying to say, so you don't sound like a complete fucking dolt.
Like you?
And you don't think it sounds stupid that you're saying a ball is pulling air pressure towards itself in a vacuum?
You don't think you sound stupid when you say there's a stationary flat plane in the middle of fucking nothing because God made it that way.
Because I don't say that.
Because somehow God.
I don't say there's a flat stationary plane in the middle of nothing. You are putting the model out into the middle of space.
Okay.
What'd you say?
Why are you straw manning me?
She's sitting here saying the
Are you really claiming that magic couldn't accomplish it?
Flat planet with a dome
magic was real?
Doesn't sound crazy to her.
Totally legit. A pressurized dome that has a gradient.
Sean, we can demonstrate pressure being created inside a container. Yes. You can't demonstrate your ridiculous claim.
You
because
can't
you can't demonstrate it, you get nasty.
Paige, you can't demonstrate a fucking pressurized container with a gradient without applying a fucking blowtorch to it, as if there's some kind of comparable example in nature.
That's not the argument. That's not the argument.
Well, the argument you're saying we can't demonstrate anything.
You can't demonstrate that you can do a donut in your car. Well, we're not talking about doing donuts in our car, are we? So like, what does it matter?
Because you're not saying shit. You're literally not even making a point, and that's typically a fucking flat earther strategy, is to not make a point and just ramble on and call people stupid when they can't even elaborate on the things they said.
So is that why you Globers stick around?
Oh wow.
Jesus Christ.
I mean, you've yet to make a fucking point. You've yet to substantiate anything you've said,
in having a
Paige.
real argument. He just wants
You
to
should be very concerned that you cannot demonstrate what you claim the Earth is. It's not
What do you
my
mean I
fault you
can't
can't
demonstrate it?
demonstrate
I
it.
demonstrate it every time I fly. I demonstrate that there is
Paige,
indeed
man,
a consistent
it ain't
gradient.
going anywhere with this guy, Paige. It ain't going anywhere.
No, it's not. They're both just unbelievably narrow.
Yeah, here you go, fucking ramble without making a point. You're saying I don't demonstrate things, but I actually work in a profession that deals with these elements, and I see the consistency of the gradient. It's not fucking tumultuous and fucking
We're not
tumbling all over the
arguing.
fucking
I'm not
place.
saying there isn't a gradient. You're arguing about something that we're not even disagreeing on.
No. We disagree on what can make a gradient. You think a pressurized container can have a gradient, and it cannot. Demonstrably,
you can't even
it
have
cannot.
that pressure without the container, you stupid fucking idiot.
Oh my god. Well, that's what makes you look like the stupid fucking cunt, Paige. Is because you say stupid shit like that. There's a force acting on a piece of matter. When you put a force on something, it reacts a certain way.
Piece of shit.
Sure there is.
If you were here, I'd slap your fucking little face.
Shut up. Fuck up, you keyboard warrior fucking
punk.
Fuck you.
You fucking little punk.
All right,
Shut
White
your
Knight.
fucking
Yeah,
ass.
they are. They're both
There you
just
go, White
punks.
Knight.
Fucking pussy.
Shut the hell up.
Ever get a
Keyboard
bitch
warrior
slap?
This fucking clown is talking all hard ass.
You ever get a bitch
Pussy over a
slap?
fucking voice.
You know what a bitch slap is?
Boy, shut the fuck up.
You ever get a bitch slap?
Can't
a
demonstrate their
backhander when
claims,
you're
so they have to call people
fucking
cunts.
Paige, I'm still asking you to demonstrate
fucking
yours.
little bitch. Have
We
some
did. We
respect.
showed you a gradient.
Asshole.
Show me air pressure without a container.
Paige,
Show
you showed me a
us
pressure
air
gradient that
without a
corresponds with
container.
heat. Paige,
Show
you showed
me-
me a
No,
Paige,
the argument
you
is
shut
creating that pressure.
Paige, you showed a pressure gradient that corresponds with
We're
hot
not
and cold.
arguing about the gradient,
Oh my
you
fuck.
stupid idiot.
You
We're
dumb
arguing
ass
about you
fucking twat.
demonstrating-
You literally are bringing in a demonstration of a
creating
gradient.
that pressure in a vacuum using gravity.
Your dumbass is bringing a fucking example where someone applied heat and the heat corresponds to the pressure and the gradient. Whereas in the
You
real
do realise
fucking world,
that
the
wasn't
heat does not
my
correspond
thing,
with the fucking
but anyway.
pressure. You keep bringing it up.
So what the
You said you
argument
demonstrated
is
something.
How
That's literally the only thing you presented. So Paige, how about
Do you ever get
actually present
lubed up
something?
the ass? Do you ever get lubed?
Paige, have
Ever
you
have your
ever fucking
ass,
presented
your
something?
shit pushed,
I'm asking
you
you
little
to
bitch.
substantiate something you've said.
No.
What tangible
My
thing
God,
have you done?
every physicist in the world knows air pressure needs containment.
No, it needs a force. Do you know what a container does, Paige? It creates a force. It creates a force of those gas particles pushing against that hard surface. And that hard surface, because of equal and opposite force
If
always fucking
you
happens,
are
is what's
going
pushing
to
back.
claim that, you need to demonstrate it.
If you're going to claim that our atmospheric gradient is
off.
created in some
Fuck off.
fucking pressurized
Fuck off,
container.
you dumb fucking
you're so
cunt.
mad. You're so
Fuck
mad right now
off.
because I'm asking you to do the
you've
same
gone
thing you're
around
asking
and around.
me.
You will not stop talking about the gradient, and that's not even the argument. You
That
are
is
so
the
weak
argument.
and small-minded that you think we're arguing about the gradient when that's not even anything to do with what we're
Oh my God,
actually
you
arguing
stupid
about.
fucking tart. If we were in a pressurized container, all right, the pressure would be fucking uniform. Period.
That's only if the
Oh my
was
God,
at
here comes
saturation.
the
It may not be.
idiot.
And
Wow.
if the
Well,
force is sufficient
prove me wrong.
to
Wow.
spread everything out
Prove
within
me
the
wrong.
container.
Actually, Hellfire.
Question
That's
on
not
2
true,
counts.
dude.
You're assuming saturation, which may not be
Lemon,
the case if
shut
there are
up
cycles
for a
and
second.
other
Lemon's always
things
fucking
using up the
rambling. Paige,
material.
prove me wrong.
Number one.
Show me.
Number two,
Lemon,
you do not
pressurized
know if you
container.
have enough energy to spread the thing throughout the container.
I turned it
Assuming
down.
that you have
Paige,
that. You
show
don't
me
know
a
that.
fucking pressurized
I
container
am
with a
not
gradient.
making
I can
a
do that.
claim.
You're making the claim that
are.
I could
Paige,
do
you're
that,
making
though,
a
dude.
claim.
Hellfire. I can answer your question.
Go for it.
A gas well.
A
They have
gas
gradients.
well.
Yep.
A
they have
gas well.
gradients. That's
How
right.
does that gradient happen?
Doesn't matter.
Who cares?
No.
Oh my
No,
God.
Kitty.
See,
Kitty.
you
It fucking
cannot
matters.
even argue
Kitty.
about the actual point.
Kitty,
You are so retarded.
What
you cannot
causes
even
the pressure
argue
gradient
about
in
the
a
point.
gas well?
You said it couldn't be demonstrated, and I gave you an example.
Kitty, again,
it's the
you
second
came in late in the
time he's been
conversation,
given
so you
an
haven't heard
example.
shit. So Kitty,
No, he's right though. You
what
asked for an
causes
example, and
the
he gave
pressure
you one.
gradient?
Now you're
Yeah.
asking why.
Yeah, we've
It
given
doesn't
him
matter.
two.
He gave you the
You
example.
said it couldn't. Your exact words were, "It can't be done. It can't be demonstrated." And I just
No,
gave you
my
example
full
where it
words,
can
if
be.
you actually took me in full context, if you
Okay,
take the
what's your
same
full
fucking
context?
material, whether it's water, whether it's the same composition from sea level to fucking Mount Everest in the atmosphere, the same composition of material, if you pressurize it, it will be uniform. A gas well has different gases and they separate based on that.
Yeah, so does the
So it's a
atmosphere.
different concept.
Yeah,
No,
the
dumbass.
atmosphere
It's
has
the same
different.
concept, dude.
The composition of the atmosphere all the way up to 100,000 feet doesn't fucking change, homie.
Yeah.
Hellfire
Yeah, it's mixed gases.
demonstrate
No, it
you
doesn't.
creating that
It's
pressure.
a uniform mix.
Yeah, exactly. Same
Demonstrate
as a gas
you
well.
creating
So-
that pressure.
So if it's
your
a
point?
uniform mix, then there should be no gradient if it's
That's
pressurized.
obviously not true because a gas
Yeah,
well has a
obviously
gradient.
not
That's what I'm
true because
telling
it
you.
has a gradient.
Right. A gas well has a gradient because of different gases that are separating.
It's
The
uniform.
atmosphere
No,
doesn't do that.
No. It's uniformly mixed, dude. Why
See
would
how
you
many
think a
claims
gas well
you're
isn't
making, Hellfire?
uniformly mixed?
You're making.
Why would you say that, Hellfire?
No one can even understand what you're saying, Sean, because you come in while other people are talking and you're not talking loudly. All we can hear is every now and again.
I'm like
I
a
thought that was
fucking idiot.
I
See?
didn't hear anybody.
That's all we get.
So
Paige,
anyhow,
you're the most
I
fucking
answered your
person
question.
on here than
I
anyone.
answered your question, Hellfire. So there you go.
Can
So
you talk
what?
properly?
Like you have no common sense. Period.
Right.
Could you guys?
Do you have a
any more
definition of common
insulted and
sense?
poisoning the well around here?
Sure, Sean, sure.
You call people
Sure.
all kinds of fucking names. You call them child molesters.
Oh, after.
Tommy.
No, Sean, shut the fuck up. No, your side called Bev a child abuser for saying level and horizontal are the same thing.
Go back to middle school and learn science.
Yeah, you really
So
should.
is that what you're relying on?
You can't create
This is
pressure without
fake.
containment, you dumb bitch.
Science. How is my third grader smarter than your stupid ass? Go back to middle school.
How old
Yeah,
are
he
you?
would probably know
How
you
old are
can't
you,
create
Nappy?
pressure without a
Hellfire,
container.
can we start from the
Yeah, you
beginning?
need a firmament.
Oh,
You need
God,
to have a
from the
firmament.
beginning.
Sorry.
What time is it?
Let's
You
start from the
have to be
beginning.
the
Where do we
dumbest
live?
fucking thing I have ever come across, Sean. My God.
I would actually talk to you, but she won't stop.
Nah, man, it's all good. It's good. When you can, I want to start from the beginning, right? Hypothetically, let's just assume nobody knows anything, right? We all have our minds swiped. How do we
Okay.
figure out where we live?
How do we figure out where we live? Like, are we talking locally or universally?
I'm talking about we trying to figure out what is this thing we are
Locally.
on.
What is this thing we are on? We compare phenomena.
You would start with trying
start
to
eliminating.
find out how the air pressure
My
is
God,
created.
and again, like, for fuck's sake, man.
Wouldn't
Is it
you?
okay if I talk?
You'd
Is it
start
okay if I
by
talk?
trying to find out what
Is it
causes
okay if
our
I
air
answer the
pressure so
question
we
that
can
was proposed to
breathe.
me? You'll interrupt me when you ask me a question I'm trying to answer. Now you're going to interrupt me when I'm answering someone else's question.
Oh, boo-hoo.
All right. So your
Are you
question
that
was
sensitive?
oh, my sweet dick. My
You
God.
are.
And you cry about people being
Little
rude and
snowflake.
calling you a cunt when that's
I
literally
wasn't crying about
the
it.
definition of what you're doing right now.
I didn't cry about it, mate.
My God. Shut up. Just shut up.
Did I?
Anyway.
Wasn't
so,
me calling you out, was it?
Oh my fucking Christ.
Was it?
Oh my God.
All right. So to answer your question,
No,
you take
it wasn't.
many variables in many different areas of study and put them together, and they'll all eventually come to some kind of conclusion. And you continuously try to challenge that, and you start eliminating variables. For example, one of their variables was fucking electromagnetic currents all over the place. Well, you can eliminate that by the consistency of a compass as you travel across the land. All right, so that's an eliminating
And forget
variable.
all about the ley lines.
No, you haven't talked
Are we
about
sure-
field coherency,
hold on,
so
hold
you
on.
don't know how to think
Are we
about the
sure that it
problem. You need another
100%
paradigm.
eliminate any other phenomena? Can we just say that is the strongest force out of all the magnetic occurrences?
Can you rephrase the question? I'm not exactly sure what you're asking.
Could we just say that because you said the electromagnetism is debunked because of the force pointing the compass to the north.
Yeah.
That couldn't just be the strongest force.
But if there's gonna, so if you have a large mass of air, and this is a slight tangent, but I'll bring it right back to the point. If you have a large mass of air, and it's moving, right? So I'm moving at this one speed, and another higher low pressure system collides with that mass of air, you're going to get variances, right? You're going to get variances in winds. The winds are going to shift. The surface winds are always offset from the winds aloft because the earth rotates. And when you compare that stuff, like there's going to be variances. You can always figure out and sense and detect and find a way to detect these variances. Electromagnetism is very, very easy to detect. However, what we find is that it's consistent. It's too consistent for there to be those little variables like you would in wind. It'd be like detecting gusts in wind. You know, you get 20 knots gusting at 35 knots, but for the most part, they are at 28 knots, and that's the average. Same thing with fucking magnetism. You can detect those variances if they exist, but they do not.
But you're forgetting about field coherency. One day we will.
Yeah, and as I travel from point A to point
when
B,
you can explain field coherency, because I've heard you mention it a couple of times. Can you explain it, please?
You have the magnetic field spread out everywhere. It's not in an organized form so that it can have full power and full coherency. A coherent magnet would be like a north-south magnet. All the magnetism is there, concentrated in one area. An incoherent magnet would be a mess. It would be with the magnetism spread out over, a large area, like a bunch of buckyballs, with the north-south, poles all over the place, with a bunch of buckyballs stuck together. That is an incoherent magnet, and it demonstrates overall attraction for the coherent magnet. The buckyball mass demonstrates overall attraction, like gravity, for the coherent magnet. So magnetism may just be, gravity may be another form of electromagnetism.
So if I introduce
Ken Wheeler does a good
piece of metal
demonstration showing you
an aircraft
incoherent
compass,
magnets,
which is extremely fucking sensitive. That small piece of metal in itself isn't magnetic, but it still swings that compass. It takes that tiny variation that's not even magnetic in its own to make a compass flux. That's all it takes.
So,
but you mean to tell me that when I
travel
long distances at different altitudes, I just magically never run into these variances?
You need to have a coherent field first. The field is spread out, so you're probably not detecting it, but it's there.
Coherent means?
So that was a whole lot of bullshit. You're talking about an electromagnetic field.
A field
Hellfire, you can see this. Ken Wheeler does a demonstration of the difference in the strength between a coherent magnet and an incoherent
that's
one.
fine. If you want to think that, that's fine. If you want to think that
it's
something so
demonstratable, you idiot.
Will go unaffecting something that gets affected by the minor things, that's fine. Like,
yeah, dude,
I can't
the
fix
same
that.
thing gets pulled towards a coherent magnet at like 4 centimeters, and an incoherent one at like...
That's your prerogative.
It has to get all the way down to 1 millimeter before it'll attract it. So yeah, there's a big difference. It's like the difference between a 60-watt light bulb and a laser. A laser can burn a fucking hole through your leg. But it's still just 60 watts like the light bulb. What's the difference between it? One is coherent, one is incoherent.
Oh God, was Paige screaming again?
Yeah.
I was wondering why it was a little quiet. So, was it Matrix?
You fucking asshole. You absolute cunt of a person. You are arguing about something that is fundamental, that every physicist knows about, incoherent and coherent magnets.
Oh, he muted himself.
And lasers and shit. You
Fire, do you know the difference
moron.
between coherent and incoherent magnetism? Can you explain it to us?
No, he doesn't.
Fire?
No, he's a fucking idiot.
Hold on. Hellfire.
Prancing around pretending he knows.
Do you know the difference?
And fucking he's got Sean thinking he knows what he's talking about, so she's laughing, making an ass out of herself.
Wait, how do you know what he has me thinking? You don't put that.
Because you're laughing along with him and agreeing with what he's saying, not realising you're making yourself look like a complete and utter fuckwit.
Naps.
That's why I'm laughing.
Hold on, Naps. Hold on, Naps. Naps.
You're laughing because you're fucking stupid. That's why you're laughing.
You're fucking stupid. I think I know science. No, you don't. You're a fucking idiot. You don't know anything.
You don't even know. You don't even know what the difference between a coherent and an incoherent magnet are. You can't fucking talk, you dumb fuck.
You don't know everything. I'm sorry.
No, I don't.
Stop.
You think you do though?
In everything, because you're not.
You don't even know the difference between a coherent and an incoherent magnet, you dumb bitch!
Naps, who, aside from Paige, who are you arguing with?
Oh, it's Paige.
Oh, that's it?
Just her.
Because it went dead, and I'm not sure if I missed a question or what.
No.
Did they ask?
No, man, I'm here. I'm just letting the airways clear out, man. I don't want to get involved in that arguing shit, man. I'm just here to have a nice conversation, talk about some weird shit.
Yeah, I'd definitely like to talk to you more.
Like, really?
But Matrix, did I answer your question?
Sure. I'll accept it. I'll accept it. Listen, I'm not looking for a PhD or.
Oh, no, I don't have
I'm looking for a regular
PhD,
person, a regular guy, just to have a conversation with.
That's what I like, man. I like the down to earth. I mean, if you can't break something down simply without throwing down fucking jargon words or ranting like Lemon does, then you probably don't understand what you're talking about and can apply it. And that's what I
think you're just waiting for the normie explanation and
so ranting like you were doing before, calling me a cunt.
So I think what we need to do is thinking new terms, flat earth, round earth, or whatever.
You were dishing. Don't get mad about
Hellfire, when you can, other than the ha-has, of course, for the laughs, what is your motives for
I'm not getting mad about it. I'm just pointing out a fact.
So
for coming to these debates.
You got triggered first.
I've actually
from
gone
the second you came
debates, and they always go fine, and we all like love each other at the end of it. However, today I came because I made a comment about explaining gradient, and that's when Paige asked me to come in here, and now she wants to avoid that gradient exists or what causes the gradient. So that
we've already given you
alternatives. I have told you the whole time you've been here what could cause it. You just ain't everything.
Paige, you
well,
you
fuck
said
you, cunt. Fuck
Paige, you ranted about what could cause it and what possible is, and no way to demonstrate it. So sorry, but
we can demonstrate it with a cymatic plate. Salt on a cymatic plate organizes in any shape. It's just a plate you put salt on, you put a sound frequency out, and it organizes into any shape you need.
Oh,
there's
okay.
your sideways. Probably organizes it into up and down. No gradients.
I know what it is. I just didn't know what it was called.
So there's your gradient right there.
So again, you should be able to detect this fairly easily on a consistent basis.
The Earth has a 5.7 5.7 hertz frequency called the Schumann resonance. It is like a vibrating cavity.
Okay, so demonstrate its long effects over different pressure gradients and how that's causing it instead of making patterns.
The only thing that I've seen organize reality the way that you're talking about into gradients is sound. So I'm going to go with sound and frequency.
Okay, so sound, it's funny you mentioned sound because sound makes its way around things because it operates in a wave. Gradients don't operate in a wave. So that's kind of neither here nor there, really.
But sound can organize itself into up and down harmonics as well. It can level up and down.
It can do this, it can do that, but you're not making any predictions and showing me where it happens in the real world. You're still going with the could be, possibly, and can be, but not actually.
You're at the same level because you don't have a center of gravity and you can't give me a space-time in a jar. You're just as theoretical. It's just that you're going with one framework because it has a bunch of numbers behind it. Absurd.
Cool, I guess, except again, basic geometry says we're right, at least on the shape. Never mind rotating on the shape alone.
No, it doesn't.
Like, that's undeniable. like maps, navigation, equatorial mounts.
Except it's denied.
You can't work your way around it without a fucking bullshit word salad that says nothing.
You know what? We get one of these guys come in who talks very smoothly and thinks he has all the answers and wants to.
The thing is, you're assuming the horizon is formed by a hump of
every
Earth
couple
curvature.
months, and then they just kind of disappear.
Assuming anything.
They keep saying assuming. Like
yeah, I mean that's kind of their thing.
Like, come on.
It ignores the fact that we look down the hallway and we see the ground ramping up similar to the horizon, though, Naps. So we see that looking down the hallway.
The horizon doesn't always come up to eye level. So
nowhere.
That. Now
the horizon rises toward the level of the eyes, which wouldn't happen on a ball. It would drop away immediately.
It doesn't because when you're on a plane, it doesn't do that. So that's false.
You're looking out a curved window, dude. Come on. You're looking out a curved window. Fuselage window.
Hold on. I got a picture for this because I usually substantiate what I say, right? I got a picture where you can see a lot of straight words and you can see the horizon. And if you compress it, you can actually see the curve in the horizon. So somehow, magically, the roads aren't curved by this supposed fucking fisheye window, but everything else is.
Well, up close, you're not going to see the distortion like with a fisheye curvature camera.
So the wing doesn't get distorted. That's
magnify as you get further and further away from the lens. So actual experience shows us that lenses magnify distortion as you get further and further away from the lens. And rise in
this image, the wing isn't distorted. That's close. The engine isn't distorted. That's close. The roads all the way down on the ground, those are far. Those aren't distorted. But somehow, just the horizon is. Okay.
Yeah, the horizon's further off, buddy. Yeah, the horizon's further off.
Cool. So the horizon that's going behind the same part of the lens that the wing is, somehow the horizon, only that part of the image, got distorted, but not the wing.
Let's see your fucking picture. Let's see the fucking picture.
Okay.
And you know, photo compression is like the bottom of the barrel for ballers, just so you know. It's a joke, dude.
All they have are curving lenses, NASA's lying CGI, and just crappy
NASA lies, blah, 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 blah.
Questionable optics, questionable.
All right, zoom in on those roads and tell me where those straight roads are warped and the wing is not and the horizon is not warped. Like, show me where the distortion is.
You can show them all of the evidence you want.
Oh, I
know. On what?
I know. I'm just being facetious at this point.
Where's the horizon?
You mean zoom in using the images that supposedly come from satellites?
It's the fucking air.
The
sky.
Is that right?
Yeah.
And can see that in this photo?
Yeah.
You can see the horizon for sure because all I see is the ground receding into a blob of white. That's what I see.
Cool.
So what are you seeing that I'm not seeing? Why don't you point it out to us?
Distortion? Again,
he's got to pull it out of his rear end, so that's why he was able to see it first.
Here, I'll share my screen and we'll look at it together. Can you see it now?
Now, is there something I gotta fucking click?
Yeah.
What do I have to click to see your screen?
Do you not?
Do you see the little things with our faces on them? The
yes.
Yeah. Live? There should be one that says live with my name on it.
Yep.
Click that.
Watch stream.
Yep.
There I am.
So tell me in this blob of whiteness that the ground recedes into, where is the horizon and how did you identify that is a geometric horizon that you're looking at?
I never said it was a geometric horizon, so why are you putting words in my mouth?
Why are you compressing the photo and claiming that you see curvature if you can't even identify a horizon in the photo?
That whole band where things start meshing into each other curves. The whole thing.
So what? You don't even know. What is this? What is this blob of white that we're seeing here?
It's a convergence. So now you're just being facetious.
This is no, I'm not. This is a convergence.
Playing dumb game.
But
it's there.
I'm not playing dumb.
Take it or leave it.
There's no horizon in this photo. There's this blob of white. There's no geometric horizon here.
Is there distortion?
There's no discernible horizon whatsoever. Where is it? Is it here where this white starts to get thicker? Is it up here on the top of the white? Is it in the middle? How can I tell?
Me the distortion.
The distortion doesn't matter. Your whole premise is flawed.
Hold on. No. The only reason I fucking posted this fucking picture is because he's had the audacity to say, "Oh, your pictures are fucking warped because you were looking out a window and it's fisheye lens." Show me the fucking distortion. I'm not showing you a curved horizon. That's not the intent of showing.
So what is the intent of showing this photo?
That he is full of shit saying you looked out a curved window.
Well, was the window curved that you looked out of?
Do you see distortion?
Was the window curved that you looked out of?
It was oval.
So it was curved window. So how do you know that there wasn't distortion due to the curved window that you looked out?
You're saying a flat panel cut into the shape of an oval is now curved.
You're saying it was oval in shape. So it was a flat oval panel on the plane. Is that what you're saying? It wasn't curved glass, concave or convex of any type?
We all know what a plane window looks like.
What plane was this that you're on? What kind of plane were you on?
If you take a piece of plexiglass, is it flat or is it curved? A square piece.
Can you answer a straight question, dude? I mean, seriously.
There's a flat one on the inside and a rounded one on the outside.
Just like
so where's the
all
distortion?
planes, right?
Again, where's the distortion?
We don't need to show you distortion. Your whole thing that you're trying to show here is bullshit, dude.
No, I didn't. That's not what I said.
There's no distortion. First of all, you don't know that there's no distortion. You don't know that there's no distortion. How do you know there's no distortion?
Zoom down on those roads. Look how.
What do the roads have to do with that? Do you know?
Oh my God!
Are you serious?
Do you know
they don't look straight to me. This one looks like it curves off a little bit up towards that. This one looks like it curves up a little bit. You think these are straight lines? I'll pick the straight one. I'll pick the straight one. Here, this one's straight. Oh no, wait, this one's straight. Oh, it's hard to tell, isn't it?
There's a lot of straight lines.
That is so stupid, dude. That is so fucking stupid.
No, you're fucking stupid.
No, dude. The fact that you brought this photo up tells me everything I need to know about you. And I heard you say that you compressed this photo and it proves curvature. Did you not say that?
I didn't say it proves curvature. I say you see curvature.
No, you don't. You can't see curvature. You can't even see a fucking horizon in the photo, you dumbass.
If that entire white band curves when you compress it, is there curvature?
Where's the fucking horizon, dumbass?
Oh, my sweet fucking dick.
You can't even identify a horizon in this blob of whiteness back here, but you're going to tell me that you can tell there's curvature.
What shape is your lens?
This curved window that you're looking through, and you're going to say there's no distortion. Do you know how many assumptions you've packed into there?
How many what?
Looks flat to me. I mean, except for the curve of the lens.
I haven't assumed anything. I was just showing
you assumed where the horizon is.
Straight.
You assume that you see the horizon in this blob of white, didn't you?
You can't deduce that the horizon
you assumed that this blob of white follows some kind of horizon you can't even see.
I'm sorry, your powers of deduction are so fucking broken that you can't make an obvious deduction. But that's
not an obvious deduction.
How far away is the horizon then?
Okay.
So how far away is the horizon? How far away is the horizon?
Fuck if I know, man.
On the globe, it should be 1.22 times the square root of your height above the surface in feet away. And that should give you a number, which in miles will give you the distance of the horizon. Okay. So how far away is the horizon then?
Do I know? Am I in the fucking cockpit in that fucking aircraft?
You're assuming it's a real place, but you can't tell me where it is. So that's a little questionable.
God.
You can't even see it, Lemon.
I see what you're seeing. But the thing is, you don't know where it is, so how can you be sure of what it is?
I don't even know the fucking exact altitude. You're asking me, like, how far the horizon is when I can't tell you the altitude. Most planes fly at 35,000 feet. I'm in the fucking cockpit.
I'll help you out, dude. Most planes fly at 35 to 50,000 feet. That in there, the square root of that times 1.22, that will give you the horizon. Supposedly,
if you don't know anything about this picture, why are you trying to present it as proof of anything?
I didn't present it as proof. I said, hey, the window didn't distort shit.
He's claiming that there's no distortion and that he can tell that there's no distortion in this photo. These are straight lines to him, I guess.
But cry about it and get stuck on it all you want, but like we can.
He can just make claims about the picture, what he sees. Yeah.
Come on,
I didn't
man.
bring it up as fucking evidence. He said that fucking window curved the fucking image. Like, well, no, it didn't. Look.
How do you know it didn't curve the image?
Because I can see a lot of straight roads, unless like the curve is so perfect.
I don't see any straight roads. This doesn't look like a perfectly straight line to me.
Like,
this doesn't look like a straight line to me.
On mine, I'm zooming in and seeing plenty of fucking straight
I'm
roads.
zoomed in too. Do you think your zoom is better than my zoom?
You're just being a facetious
Are you claiming that
and not fucking scrolling around.
I'm being a
dildo? The horizon looks flat, dude. Where's the curve? The horizon looks flat. Where's the curve?
Oh my fucking Christ.
Hey, Brandon, all roads are straight, apparently. Yeah. Unless you follow Coriolis, and then you kind of have to curve with the straight
Dude,
road.
where's the curve? This looks flat. Where's the
curve? You fucking idiot.
So, no curve noted.
I'm the
so
idiot.
flat.
I made the assumption that looking through a fucking window automatically distorts things. I fucking show something that shows it's not distorted.
You showed a flat Earth, so... Despite the Windows distortion, you showed a flat Earth. Thank you very much.
The Windows distorted, so that's your assumption. You've made an assumption that it
You've shown a flat Earth. That is all. You've shown a flat Earth. Thank you.
He's taking
that
a lens and putting it through another curved surface called an airplane window, and then trying to use that as proof of curved roads.
So you're assuming
straight roads.
It's not even proof of curvature. It just looks
flat.
flat.
How come I couldn't get a concave Earth? How come I couldn't?
Because
in what situation? In what condition?
Why can't I angle the camera around that fucking curved window and get a concave Earth?
What do you mean? The window's only
just
about
raise and lower the window.
Yeah.
Raise and lower the window beyond the midline, and you'll see that good old barrel distortion banding.
There you go.
So, Jesus. This is actually hilarious.
Is it hilarious?
Simple,
your whole argument is hilarious. That's what's hilarious.
Looking through a window and moving your position as you look through that window and changing the angle you're looking through that window.
Look, you can try every sophistic trick in the book. That's not going to change the fact that the Earth is flat and level. You could try every sophistic torrical trick in the book. The Earth is still going to be flat.
Listen, dude, your little know-it-all
any evidence that's going to be worth consideration other than fake CGI, questionable lenses.
Let's keep everything moving, right? So is that airplane? Is it actually falling over a curve, kind of, right? As it flies along?
Oh, now
545 miles an hour. Let's keep everything moving, right? Yeah.
So the
conversation is it falling over a curve? Is that what the airplane does?
It's staying in a pressure band based on its angle of attack setting and power setting.
A pressure band?
Yeah.
What the fuck is a pressure band?
Do you understand how airplanes work?
Yes. There's
What's
four
the
factors
formula for lift?
You tell me, genius.
No. You're the one that's laughing about shit. I just want to know if you understand or not.
Yeah. Is that airplane falling over a curve? That's how it's
how's lift produced?
The formula for lift is equated into over a curve. Is the formula for lift equated if you fly over a curve?
Again, how do you produce lift?
Answer my question first. Is that airplane flying over a curve? Right? Is it falling over a curve?
Yes, it's staying in the same pressure band that matches its angle of attack, its power setting, and its total lift.
Cool. Is that a linear type equation? You tell me.
Creating lift. So you're asking for the lift equation, right? The coefficient of lift multiplied by rho, multiplied by surface area, and velocity squared. Are you familiar?
Oh, you're just talking about wings. Yeah. Okay.
No, that's how you produce lift. That's the lift equation.
Cool. What does that have to do with curvature and your airplane falling over a curve?
Because the nose being pushed over the fucking curve is a dumbass argument for both models. It doesn't prove either. Because as long as there's a fucking pressure gradient, that airplane is only going to operate in that pressure band. So it doesn't need to fucking push its nose over. Because if it goes in a tangential straight line, it's going to fly into less dense air that it doesn't have the power setting for, so it's going to fall back into that density
on your curve. Exactly. That's why I'm saying that it
right. So it's a dumbass
over
argument
the curve to stay in your curvature.
It's a dumbass argument for either side. Anytime someone brings that up, it's like it doesn't prove neither. It doesn't prove either model.
Yeah, because
it doesn't support
actually,
either model, and it doesn't prove.
I don't feel like I'm falling over a curve when I'm in an airplane ever. Right?
Really? How sensitive?
I don't. Nobody, even pilots, don't even think about that.
How sensitive? How sensitive are your senses? Like how much acceleration, how much deceleration can you even detect?
How much drop would there be over the curve at 545 miles an hour?
So
at 35,000 feet.
If you go, let's do the fucking really basic, like local one. If you go a mile and you drop 8 inches, and it takes you a fucking minute to drop that mile, are you gonna sense
miles
that?
an hour? 545 miles an hour at 35,000 feet over a curve of 8 inches per mile squared. Yeah. Go.
So once an elevator gets fucking going, do you continuously feel the drop or just the initial?
Why are we going vertical to tangential, let's say?
Because we're talking about the aircraft dropping into the same power band. That's vertical.
Power band, pressure band, ether band.
That's what I meant, pressure band.
Everybody's hearing.
Do you not understand performance charts? Do I need to fucking put up performance charts so that you can?
No, you brought it up, man. You need to bring.
No, you brought up. You brought up those
power
fucking
bands
following
and
the
pressure
curve.
bands. I mean, just explain it so that maybe I can go look at it and be like, man, you know what? This guy's right. I might say that, right? Yeah.
I mean, you fucking brought it up, and you're fucking laughing about it because you don't even fucking
No.
understand it.
I asked you at 545 miles an hour at 35,000 feet over a curve of 8 inches per mile squared. Is your airplane, kind of falling over that curve, or is it just flying, over a curve, like nosing down? No, like kind of floating down over that curve.
It's staying in the same amount of fucking air pressure that it can produce lift for its angle of attack and its power setting. It's really that simple.
Sure, and that makes total sense in a static, flat atmosphere.
So,
Aaron,
think
check
about
out
it. Think
general.
about it. If you're flying a straight line,
I've got my own meme.
If you're following a straight line,
what's up, Paige? What do you want,
and
Paige?
it's curving away.
Check out general. I've got my own meme. Okay. DP made me a meme. It's fucking excellent.
I'm gonna check it out.
Yeah, in general.
How do I get off of this fucking? So if you are flying in a straight line, right, and this is on a ball, right, as the curve is dropping away from you, you're effectively gaining altitude, right?
Let me ask you this question. When a pilot
now
flies,
answer
do
mine. I
they
just
have to
fucking asked you a
account for?
question.
Yeah, fuck your
just
question.
asked you a
So
fucking
when a
question.
plane flies over over the Earth, the pilot flies over the Earth. What adjustments do they have to make to account for the curvature of the Earth or the rotation of the Earth?
I just asked you a question that is exactly about that.
Answer my question.
If an aircraft is going in a straight fucking line and the Earth is curving down away from it, it is effectively gaining altitude, correct?
If it goes in a literal straight line, yeah.
Yeah. All right. So if the pilot does nothing, doesn't change the angle of attack, doesn't change the thrust, nothing, is that aircraft able to maintain lift at that lower density altitude?
You tell me, do they have to make adjustments? Yes or no?
Answer my question. You
do pilots have to make any adjustments for the curvature of the Earth or the rotation of the Earth?
I am asking you these questions to show you why they do not.
No, they don't. That's why.
Just say yes or no.
Like they fly over a flat stationary plane.
Is that right?
I'm gonna
what Paige said?
it.
Is that right? What Paige said? That they just fly over as if it's a flat and stationary Earth. They don't have to make any adjustments for curvature or rotation.
Back to my question: if they are effectively at a higher altitude,
yes or no? Do they make any adjustments for curvature
you don't
or rotation?
fucking yes or no me because I asked the question first. All right. So
it's a pretty simple answer. That's all you got to say.
Well, it is a yes or no answer. However, if I don't explain the why,
I don't care about the why.
Just, you're wrong.
I've heard the explanation.
Well, then if you don't care about the why,
because if they don't, you've got no proof of
answer the question.
No, they don't. So, but if you don't care about the why, then you're just being an insincere asshole.
I just wanted to see how dishonest you are. You might be a little honest.
Might be a little what?
Marginally better.
Honest. At least you can admit that pilots don't account for curvature or rotation.
That's where Aaron is actually being honest, saying that he thinks water is level and level is horizontal. He's actually being really honest without even realizing that that's what he's doing.
That's what I'm asking you. Why would they have to account for? How the fuck do I get?
Yeah, why would they have to make any adjustments if they were flying over a giant spinning ball as opposed to a flat stationary plane? That's a good question.
Okay, so again, is conservation of momentum a thing? Does that exist?
Just ask a question.
No. Does it exist or not?
Yeah, of course, it's a thing. It is a phenomenon. Yes.
So in my helicopter, if I pick up straight up off the ground, do I suddenly lose that?
Do you suddenly lose what?
That momentum.
Yeah.
What momentum? What momentum?
Brandon.
What momentum? No, hold on. What momentum? What momentum?
The inertia that I have coming off of the ground.
That momentum.
What momentum?
He's pre-assuming. Yep.
Moving with the Earth.
You know,
so Brandon,
you have zero momentum when you take off from the Earth, and when you lift
relative
up,
to the Earth,
you still have zero momentum.
Yeah. Yep. So I stay over the same spot, right?
You stay over the same spot.
545.
Okay.
Yep.
545 miles.
If I want, in 1 hour, motherfucker, he asked me a question. Do you mind if I answer his fucking question?
In 1 hour.
Go ahead.
19,000 feet at 545 miles.
It's kind of hard to answer a question when some dickhead wants to interrupt.
So is your plane kind of falling over that 19,000 foot drop every hour?
What 19,000 foot drop are you talking about?
So on your GitHub curve calculator, right? It's at 545 miles per hour. Okay. In 1 hour, right? That's 545 miles. There's 19,000 feet of drop.
Okay.
Okay, cool.
What's the problem?
We can break that down into minutes, seconds, right? And I asked you, is your plane falling over the curve? And you wouldn't answer it. Yeah. I just pulled up your GitHub calculator, and let me break that down. 19,000 feet. Okay, keep talking, Brandon. Sorry.
That's okay. So yes, the helicopter takes off from the ground. There's nothing it needs to do. It just needs to maintain its position over that spot on the ground.
All right. So still on our model. All right. Is the atmosphere moving at the same rate as the Earth in our model?
I don't give a fuck what's happening on your model.
Okay, well then, if you're gonna argue a model, you need to fucking understand it.
And then you want me to?
No, you don't. You don't need to. You don't need
to. If you're gonna argue something, you
it.
should probably understand it. I mean, that's a very basic debate there. Like, you don't just go into something not understanding the other view by any fucking.
Oh, I do understand it. You're gonna give me a bunch of reasons why.
Model. Is that what's going on here?
What?
Just ask Brandon to explain you your model.
Was that a question?
Is that not clear enough?
No, you weren't. You broke up.
Oh, sorry. You just asked Brandon to explain you your model, correct?
No, I'm asking him to not agree with me, but to understand each other so that we're talking about the same thing. That's it.
So I just checked it out. It's 316 feet per minute, which equates to about 5 inches of drop per second at 545 miles
at
per
a
hour.
Consistent rate. So does your body sense changes in velocity or velocity in general?
So airplanes always just fly at a consistent rate at all times. Right?
Well, if you're talking about acceleration, deceleration, climbing, descent, like
undulations in your power band. There are undulations in your power band at all.
There are
but the point being that I'm falling now at 5 inches per second. Okay, that's damn near close to gravity, right?
Not really, no.
Okay, it's okay.
Okay, do you understand why? Like, and I know you're gonna say it's not real, but do you understand why the ISS goes
move your hand down 5 inches per second? Okay, just right now, just take your hand, put it out.
It's not much, man.
Move it down.
My average, my average.
That's how much you're falling every single second in an airplane over your curve.
My average descent is about 500 to 800 feet per second, and you only feel the first
descent
1 or 2
is different.
seconds.
We're talking about straight and level flight, tangent flight that you're talking about, right?
Well, no, we're falling into the band. We're following the curve, right? That's what we're saying.
Yeah,
right.
And you're dropping at 5 inches per second. So take your hand up and drop 5 inches every single second.
And what's the all right? So again, that's a constant velocity, not an acceleration.
Do you feel that?
Yeah, for the initial moment when it's accelerating.
Okay.
Do you not understand the difference between velocity and acceleration?
The airplane is actually falling at 5 inches per second over a curve. It's not actually flying under thrust.
And what's gravity?
I mean, you don't even need wings at that point, dude.
No, and what's gravity
what's
supposed
lift
to be?
For, right? What do you need lift for if you're falling?
Is that a serious question?
Well, the serious answer is over your curve, you fall 316 feet over in 1 minute, right?
And you're moving across horizontally, right? So you're following a curve. Okay. So you're following a curve, and you're maintaining the same distance between the ground. So what's the issue? What's the issue?
So you're not actually. You don't need an angle of attack. To
you absolutely need an angle of attack. Right? No, you need an angle of attack to maintain that same density altitude.
Of fall? You mean?
The same density altitude. It's curving down. If I was falling, if I was losing altitude or elevation,
which you are at 5 inches per second.
No, you're not. You're still the same density altitude.
Your curve calculator
do you not
told me that, dude.
Right, and the distance between you and the ground remains the same. Do you not understand that?
Sure, but that's called a fall, not a lift.
My God. If you were to just cut out power, remove the wings, all right, would you fall only at that rate?
You're hypothetical.
Would you stay? Would you stay at that? Of course, fucking not. You're still maintaining a pressure altitude.
Going to orbit.
It's that simple.
Yeah. If I kept my nose up and angle of attack, wouldn't I just go into orbit with thrust?
No, right? Dumbass. Because if your angle of attack remains the same, you're only producing enough lift to maintain in a specific fucking power or pressure band. Like that's it.
So, okay, cool.
Do you know the difference between IGE and OGE in ground effect and out of ground effect in a helicopter?
Yeah, I'm not sure curvature has anything to do with that. But no, I don't.
It has a lot to do with it because
what does curvature have to do with IGE and OGE and ground effects? Go.
Not specifically curvature, but lift. All right. So because induced flow changes, right? I mean,
Dude, your wing dynamics is on point, dude. You're on point with wing dynamics.
That's great.
I get it. Yeah.
Then if you understand that, then you understand lift, and then you understand why you stay in the same pressure.
You're not getting the idea of going over a curve. You just want to remain in a single point. That's all you want to do. A single point in space, which underneath you call a curve, even though you're not moving yet.
You're not,
because you just want to put all the math into.
Are you talking a hover or regular flight?
Right above the curve, and say that it works on every single point of the curve. Even though when I told you let's go into distance, like keep moving, you can't accept that. Okay, there is fall there. You're falling. Okay, your wing is falling.
Right. Do you think if you didn't produce lift, you would still only fall at, what was it, 300 something feet per second?
316.
Okay. Do you really think you would only fall that fast if you weren't producing lift? Like, be honest.
I never said that.
Okay.
I said
so
because
what's the
over
problem?
a curve, that's only over a curve, actually, right? So a wing over a flat airplane with a wing over a flat surface, we don't have that fall of 316 feet per minute. We don't have that.
Because it's still the same angle of attack that produces lift for a specific density altitude.
Sure. Through the same pressure band you're talking about, right?
Right. And that's why it doesn't matter flat or globe.
Which is why exactly both models work.
So I'm not the one that was talking about fucking nose dipping. So I don't know why we're talking about this if you agree.
I never said nose dip. I just said airplane.
You said following curve. Like same fucking thing.
Fall over a curve.
Was that a reiteration of the question?
No, that was my original.
I mean, to say fall over a curve is not accurate, but it is in a point in space following a curve. So yes, it's technically falling, but it's not losing altitude. It's still the same pressure altitude.
Okay, all right. I'll take that as a concession. I'll take that.
So falling is falling.
No concession because it doesn't work for either model. Like, it doesn't prove either model. It's just, it is what it is. Planes.
Exactly.
I got a question for you though.
Based on pressure.
So if you go from north to south, you're going from an area where the Earth is turning at a lower rotational speed to a higher rotational speed. I'm talking about the speed of the surface of the Earth.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you're saying how Coriolis effect would affect an airplane traveling north to south?
Nope. So what I'm going to ask is, if you are going from north to south, you're going to be, let's give you the speed. Let's say the conservation of momentum gives you 100% of your speed that you start off with.
You broke up at conservation.
All right, hold on. Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Okay, so we'll give you your speed. Let's say Anchorage, Alaska. We'll just say it's 500 miles per hour. I can't remember the exact number. And you're going down to Mexico. That's like 900 miles an hour. So you've got 400 miles an hour you've got to gain along the way. What adjustments do you need to make in order to increase your momentum to match the surface speed of the Earth as you go from north to south?
Good question,
So,
Brandon.
in the time that it takes you to travel that far, it is a very long time to make that correction. And en route, you're going to be dealing with crosswinds and winds aloft, a lot more adjusting your course to make up for those lateral and tailwinds and headwinds.
Didn't you just say about 10 minutes ago there's no correction made by pilots? Didn't you
for
just
curvature, not course correction.
Okay.
So
curvature and rotation, actually, that there was no corrections made.
Curvature is up and down. So all those cumulative corrections for winds are going to be more immediate and more consistent and more constant than the rate of travel going north to south that way. So no, they would be compensating for winds.
We're not talking about winds. Yeah. Brandon was talking about.
Hold on. Let me respond.
Right.
So okay, winds. I understand. So you're going to make small corrections that you won't really even be cognizant of along the way, and that somehow will allow the plane to gain 400 miles per hour in momentum along the trip. Is that right?
Right. So so going from Alaska.
Well, that's amazing.
Actually, hold on. Let me actually get an actual distance to that.
I've got it. Hold on. Right. I'll bring it up.
Oh, cool. So going over that over 10 hours to have that adjustment. And mind you, it's doing that pushing against the air. It's not like airspeed is increasing by 400 or 500 knots, whatever it turns out to be.
But you never gauge your airplane position by airspeed, right? It's always by ground position, right?
No, that's not true.
Okay, you pick a point in airspace and be like, oh, there's my airplane, there's my helicopters right there in air. No.
Yes, because airspeed is what actually affects your aerodynamics. So if you want the most fuel,
but you only base it on the ground, dude.
No.
And the ground is moving.
So we have. Will you shut up? Stop telling me how to do my job, so I can actually explain it, and you can actually talk about this in an informed manner instead of talking out of your ass. That'd be nice.
Or is this your job?
Can I do that? Can I explain it? Yeah, I'm a pilot. So airspeed is a function of aerodynamics, and it gives you the best fuel flow, your max distance versus
we get
max
it.
endurance.
Your aerodynamics and when wing design.
All right, cool. So
awesome.
you get it, but
I tell you what, I don't want to ever get on a plane with a pilot who thinks they live on a ball.
So then you're gonna be lucky.
He's trying
to
so hard not to get down to the ball. Listen to it. Right? He wants to go back up into wing dynamics.
So the airspeed again, like you're talking out of your ass, but the airspeed is what's going to get you the best fucking flow of fuel. Great. When you're actually doing an approach and you're coming into a distance-based approach, then yeah, you're going to use your ground speed. If you have a significant head or tailwind, that's going to change your fucking airspeed by 30-40 knots. Because that changes the sequencing and timing of aircraft. So yes.
So when you're coming into a ground approach, you never take curvature of that ground into account, do you? Right? It's always tailwind, side winds, airspeed.
Why would I? Like most approaches are like
which way it's moving.
Yeah.
Like why would I have to worry about which way it's moving when I'm moving with it?
Dude.
Why would you?
If it takes me fucking 4 minutes to do a helicopter approach over fucking 4 miles, like how much deflection do you think? How much of a change?
Approach? You come skating in on your helicopter, or do they just not land vertically? I mean, what kind of helicopter are you on?
You know, helicopters can have wheels, right? You don't think
so you just come
you don't think
zooming in
helicopters
your helicopter?
You don't think airplanes do or helicopters do roll-on landings?
So you do come down vertically and then roll on the wheel.
You don't think I do? You don't think I do the same?
That for extreme conditions of let's say a big tailwind where it pushes you along your landing site.
Nope,
or whatever.
you're doing that thing where you talk out of your ass again.
Helicopter will land vertically. That's what you do. I mean, you take off vertically. Do you take off also skidding along the runway? Is that how you take off too?
What?
You also take off, just like dragging your skids down the runway and be like, "Yep, here we go."
It's a wheeled
Everybody ready
helicopter.
and lift off. Is that what you say?
I don't have skids, dumbass. They're wheeled.
Are you okay? Can you see my screen?
Yes.
So this is the flight I'm talking about from Anchorage to Mexico City. It's a 7-hour flight.
Okay, so 7 hours for how much velocity differential?
Velocity differential is by the end of the trip. Let me see. It's been a while since I've looked at this.
While you look that up, so you have an atmosphere that's moving with the Earth, and you have an aircraft that's moving through that atmosphere.
Calculated.
How much compensation? Hold on. How much compensation do you think an aircraft has to do if it's moving through an atmosphere that's moving at the same rate that the ground is?
Okay, so you're one of the lockstep atmosphere guys?
Well, I mean, when you have a deflection on surface winds compared to winds aloft, and they're always in the same direction, going to the right in the northern hemisphere and going to the left on the southern hemisphere, that kind of tells me that there's definitely something going on, yes.
So you believe that the atmosphere moves in lockstep, so then no corrections are required. Is that your position?
Pretty minimal corrections, correct.
Well, why are any corrections needed if the atmosphere is moving in lockstep with the Earth, and that's how you gain the momentum?
The atmosphere has different velocities within it.
So you're talking about wind then, right? Are you talking about wind?
It's called variation. So if I'm going from a high
pressure, are you talking about wind?
Yes.
So there's no adjustments required from going north to south to account for the increased surface speed of the Earth, correct?
Well, winds aren't constant throughout an entire.
I'm not talking about wind. I'm talking about the surface speed of the Earth.
Yeah, no one's trying to fucking compensate for that.
So no corrections required, because earlier you said, well, you'd adjust for the wind and it'd just get lost in it. So now you're saying there's no corrections required. Earlier you said you'd make corrections, but you're making corrections for the wind, so you really wouldn't notice. Now you're saying there's no corrections required.
I would make corrections for the Earth.
Okay, so no corrections required for Coriolis.
Correct.
Okay.
I would have two other ballers that would disagree with you, Big Blue and Bob the Science Guy.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I'd love to talk to them because I would say they're incorrect.
I'd love to hear you do that. I'd love to hear you tell Bob the Science Guy that he's incorrect. Why don't we set that up?
Set up the show. Let's do it.
If he's talking Coriolis with artillery, yeah, you have to compensate for that.
No. We're talking about plane flight. He's a pilot, I believe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, both of them.
Hellfire Hammer and Bob the Science Guy.
And Blue Model Science.
Didn't both Blue and Bob comment on how minimal Coriolis affected air flight?
And that, you know what? And I'll be honest, like if they are airliners and they fly that all the time and they know a little bit of an aspect that I'm not familiar with, then okay, they are correct. But as far as like
what's funny is they're actually smaller scale. Let's just say private pilots with maybe the ability to license to carry passengers or something. Okay, but here's the deal. Bob the Science Guy actually said that just like in a car, when you follow the road in a car and you're heading south from the north of the state to the south of the state, you actually have to correct for Coriolis when you're in your car. And we're all laughing at him, right? Because in his little Cessna, he says that's just the minute, corrections we have to make too in a Cessna. It's the same ones you have to make in your car when you're on the surface of the rotating Earth. It was the funniest shit I ever did.
The effects of Coriolis are minimal on powered flight.
Yeah, but it's obviously it's apparent to Bob, right? Left lane, who said that we have to adjust for it when you're in your truck, right? You're driving north to south. Okay.
Yeah, right. It's almost as if you're flying over a stationary Earth. It's amazing.
Yeah. And Bob seems to think that he can say that you have to adjust for it, and he knows how because he's tested, apparently, left lane in his truck saying, yep, there's a little correction. Yep, there's the correction. Yep, left lane's correcting as he's going north to south from, state to state, whatever it is.
I'm not going to take your word for it, but if he says he's actively making those corrections, I would be doubtful too. And I'm just being honest. I would be very, very, very doubtful because, again, when you're correcting for roads or an aircraft winds, you're not moving at the speed of a fucking artillery shell. So a sniper, what's the longest shot, 2 miles or some shit like that? I don't remember what the longest sniper. Even at 2 miles at that velocity, there's barely any movement going 2 miles. It's not like a huge change in the radius or the latitude. So
I do believe that's why Brandon and SC Montreal still were on the same show with Bob when he said that, and actually got on his case, just saying, how do you know this, right? And Bob got all pissed off, triggered left, right? It's not something.
Well, that's
like
silly.
My bad. Jose got all triggered.
Hey, you guys are right to give him shit for that. You guys are absolutely right to give him shit for that. If someone tells me a sniper compensates for Coriolis effect, maybe, but I bet you that if he sees any amount of wind, he's going to adjust for that, and it's going to be a much more significant adjustment than it is for Coriolis. An artillery man who's shooting several miles, that absolutely starts taking Coriolis to effect because it does.
I'm pretty sure the biggest effect that a sniper or a long distance range shooter takes into effect, number one, is rifling of the barrel and shape of the bullet.
Yeah, shape of the bullet, projectile drift, projectile jump, all that shit. But it's such a short distance. When you're talking what is it, 6,000 some odd miles from the equator to the North Pole or to the South Pole, whatever you guys want to call it.
Yeah.
From one edge or whatever. You're talking 1 or 2 miles out of that 6,000. I'm gonna call, even me as a glober, I'm gonna call bullshit on that. Absolutely. But artillerymen, and I know, I work with them, and a lot of the guys I work with now that are pilots now were artillerymen, and we always have an FSO in our unit to integrate with the artillery. They show us they do that. It's an active process. Coriolis is just real.
You're talking.
Shut the fuck up, dude. Shut up, dude. I never even heard the term Coriolis. I was in for 6 years artillery on rockets that went 40 to 80 miles.
On fucking rockets, man. Come on, man.
Fuck you. You don't know what you're talking about. Prove it. That ballistics actually impact Coriolis with experimental data. Prove it.
I absolutely, you know what? I will absolutely do that. I will call the fucking FSO tomorrow, and I'll be like, hey, give me your fucking shit that you use, and I'll show it to you.
A manual from the government, that's going to be your proof? I'm talking about experimental evidence. I don't give a shit what a government manual says.
No. Readings and reports from the actual data site where they took the shot. Trigger pulled, right?
Oh, you want them to send me a shot of that?
I don't give a fuck what they do. You get the proof however you want. What are you basing your opinion on? What you heard? What the government told you?
You called, but hang on, you call bullshit on a sniper allowing for it, even though we're told they do. So why is that bullshit, but the other part's not? How do you arbitrate between what's the bullshit and what isn't the bullshit?
Because I actually have to interact with them and give them, when I do a call for fire, I have to be accurate about it. If I'm off by a certain amount.
Do you interact with snipers? Have you asked? Have you can you vouch?
On a daily basis, no. I mean, I do have a friend who was a sniper. He's been out for a couple of years. I didn't ask him that specifically, but when he took me to the range, Coriolis was never mentioned. So maybe
you just take it on yourself to call bullshit for the snipers, but then you will verify.
Ballistic.
I promise it's true. The artillery do.
Because he never fucking accounted for it. What do you want me to say?
I don't know what you're saying. I'm just calling out the inconsistency. I'm just calling out the inconsistencies in what you are saying.
We adjusted for the elevation. We adjusted for the wind. We did not adjust for Coriolis.
So at what meter range, at what distance range is Coriolis? Does it come into your 0.001? We got to factor that in. At what distance range then?
That I don't know.
Come in. Okay. But the artillerymen should know that, right? They'll be like, yeah. After shit, 1,000 kilometers or whatever, 100 kilometers. Yeah. We got to take Coriolis into account, and that's why we're on target every single fucking time. Is because we put that little number in there on our range calculation, our velocity calculation, our artillery weight and wind speed and everything, because we added that little calculation of a earth turn just to bomb buildings from like 100 kilometers away, right? Otherwise they would have been off, and civilians would have been killed.
Who calculates it anyway? Who's the one that allegedly calculates this? Is it a computer that does it? Or
it's got to be the most important person
with a slide
in the world
rule
just to get on.
Is it a person?
Right?
Yeah, is it a person with a map and a slide rule, or is it just a computer? Hellfire, hello.
If you lob bombs over a city and you start killing civilians, I mean that could be bad press, right? I mean you want on target, and that's the Coriolis factor. The number you got to put in there just to make sure you hit that fucking museum or weapons of mass destruction factory.
Primary school. Hospital. That munition storage.
Yeah.
Good evening, Aaron. By the way, Brandon, how are you?
Hey, Effie, what's up?
Yeah, not much, man. Just a busy day. Just thought I'd come in here and call bullshit on somebody, and it worked straight away.
Well done.
Didn't catch 1 minute of the show today. Hope it was good.
The show was good. The after show was a little bit better.
Okay.
IMO, in my opinion.